So welcome back to this episode of GRS University. I'm Molly Elisea, and we showed you how to maintenance your California air compressor. Now we're going to show you how to maintenance your Val-Air compressor. Let's go. All right, so we've already talked about how to set up and maintain your California air compressor. Now we're going to cover the setup and maintenance for your Val-Air compressor. So when you receive this compressor, the very first thing that you should do is take this tube that comes off of your regulator and go ahead and push it down into the provided bottle. That way that tube is out of the way. It's not going to confuse anything as far as the air lines go. The next thing you're going to do is there's going to be a red cap right here with some warning labels. And you're going to take your air inlet valve and screw that on instead. Like so. Step 3, you're going to take your oil filter, and it has a U-bolt right here. So go ahead and unscrew those nuts on that. And this is going to mount onto this post right here. You're just gonna slip the U-bolt on, poke it through the holes, and then screw that back on. Okay, so to tighten this down, you're gonna need a 7/16 wrench. Then once you have that secured, we're going to talk about the other tubing. So you're gonna follow the path up from the tank, and then it comes over through your water filter and your regulator. Then there's this buffer tubing that wraps around in between the tank and the motor. That is going to come up onto this end right here, and that plugs into the elbow fitting of your oil filter. From there, you're gonna take your hookup kit that you're provided and plug into this fitting right here that goes straight out of the oil filter. And then this comes over and goes into the fitting on the filter of your machine. So the next step is going to be putting oil into your compressor. So this is the provided oil. You're going to unscrew this bolt at the top of your motor. And this will have a little spout. You're gonna flip it over and pour into it. You're gonna wanna keep an eye on this gauge down here. There's a little sticker to show you or remind you how full to do it, but it's going to fill about halfway up on the bubble. It's not gonna take quite this whole bottle. Once you've poured your oil in, you just replace the bolt. And then we've already installed it, but it's also going to include a cooling fan. It's the same thing as the oil filter down here. It has U-bolts, and you're just going to attach it to your handle here. The only important thing to mention on this is that you want the airflow to come across your motor to keep it from overheating. And then that's it as far as the setup for this compressor goes. As far as maintenance, for daily maintenance, it's the same thing as the California air compressor. You're going to want to drain your tank daily. So people get a little confused on this because there is a bolt on the bottom of the tank, but we don't want you to mess with that. There's actually a tube that comes down from this valve and goes to the bottom of the tank. So you really only need to worry about draining it right here. And all you're going to do is put some paper towels into a cup, open up the valve and let that excess moisture blow out, then close that valve back up. This is also the same as the other air compressor, where if you notice the bowl filling up on your machine's filter, you may wanna purchase an additional inline filter unit. However, really you should be, we kind of souped this compressor up a little bit. We have all the filters and backup stuff built into it. So you shouldn't really need that inline filter with this compressor. It is good if you have this tucked out of the way or your machine shoved back and you can't see the filter on the unit. If you mount that inline filter on your bench, it's kind of a visual reminder to do all of this maintenance. As far as other maintenance goes, if you're a pretty heavy user of your equipment, you're going to want to maintenance your filters and your oil about every 6 months. If you use it moderately, you could probably get away with a year. So the very first filter we're going to talk about is this one right here on your air inlet. You can see through these holes right here, and then there's another hole on the side. It should be a pretty clean blue. If you start to notice discoloration or dark colors, you can replace the filter inside by popping off the cap, or you can also just completely replace the valve itself. We sell it both ways. That comes off. To check for your oil, you can push up on this pin at the bottom of the filter, on the oil filter. You can also check the actual filter itself by unscrewing the bowl. And this is where you would replace that. Kind of another backup system we have for the oil is this tubing that wraps around. If you notice that this tubing is starting to get discolored, sorry, I'm struggling with this. Another backup we have for that is this tubing that wraps around between the motor and the tank. If you notice that starting to get discolored, or you notice anything in that line, that's a sign that you probably ought to check the filter on your oil. It's also a sign that you should change the oil in your actual unit. So to do that, you're gonna remove that air inlet valve that I just did. You're going to take this and tilt it over the edge of a table. You're going to wanna have a bucket down at the bottom of your table on the floor, and that's where all of your old oil is gonna pour into. After you've completely removed your oil, you can screw that inlet valve back on, and then you're going to put new compressor oil back into the tank, just like you did for setup. Again, only going up to the half point mark on the bubble. The other filter that you need to look at is your water filter. So this is going to come off of your water filter. If you notice that starting to fill up, that's a sign that you need to look at your water filter. And this is the same as the oil filter. You just unscrew the bowl, and you can see that filter right there. It's white, so if you notice any kind of discoloration, that's a sign that you need to replace that filter. Again, if you're going to be doing the maintenance every 6 months to a year, just go ahead and look over all your filters, check your oil. It's a good time to do that. That's gonna help with the lifespan of not only your compressor, but your machines as well. That's all. I hope you took notes, because I know that was a lot, but you can do it, I promise. If you're having issues, just rewatch the video or call us, we'll take care of it. Today's suggested Instagram user is Finch Engraving in the Gap. Jim Finch is a gem. He's been here several times. Go check out his page and see what he's been working on. If you would like to be our suggested Instagram user, then tag us at GRS Tools. Like us on the social media, you know the drill. Please go do it. Thanks, bye.